all these 50-plus?
That's a good question. I would say hard work and consistency with the weekly routine. I think that's really been the difference.
Block field goals, jump over the long snapper.
We executed well. Everyone involved on that play, especially the guy that blocked it, heck of a job of execution, and we just saw a matchup opportunity that we liked, and those guys executed well.
So what else, Bubba, went into that other than the great play there by Miles?
Just everyone involved in the play. I mean, Shelby, J.E., Denzel, everybody factored in there for the matchup that we saw, and just good execution on the play overall.
How dangerous is that? Because if he touches somebody, right, it could be a 15-yard penalty, right? So, like, do you consider it a risk calling that play?
I mean, it's a calculated risk, but I had confidence in our guys. We practiced it well, and practice execution equals game reality is what a great coach once told me.
How often do you practice that play? Like to actually see what it's going to look like in a game?
I mean, when we have our field goal period, that's when we ran it. So we ran it a handful of times during the week.
Which coach shared that with you?
Bill Belichick.
To Denzel earlier, and he said how excited you were to pull that play out. What was your emotion like
When we got the block? I mean, it's pretty obvious, right?
I think Miles said after the game that you noticed their linemen really go low. Is that the key to calling that play?
Yeah, and so, I mean, look, I coached there for 5 years. So they had a guy that didn't play in the game that had been on the other side of the line for the entire time that I was there. So, we saw an opportunity with the personnel, and fortunately for us, we got really good execution from our players to get the block.
Just waiting to bring this out against your former team?
No, I think that, I mean, Tony asked a few weeks ago, do I have any tricks up my sleeve? Everyone has them. It's just when are you going to use them? When is the right opportunity to use them? So, look, we're always going to have things ready to go, and whenever we see an opportunity with personnel, matchups, things we like, then we'll just use them as we see it.
Well, as part of that thought process, because it was a 60-yard kick, you thought the trajectory might start a little lower, or did you make that call if it was a 35-yard field goal?
Not necessarily. I think that, it was, to me, it was it felt like the right time to call it. A lot of times, I'm always going to call the game based on, you can have a plan going into the game, and then that plan's going to change at some point based on momentum, how your team's doing in that instance. Things change throughout the game, and I feel like the way I call it a lot of times is based off instinct. I felt like it was a good time to call it, and I'm glad I did.
What's the name of that call?
We actually called it Indy. Yeah, we called it Indy.
Are you surprised it's legal to do that? And do you ever get, wonder if it won't be?
No, I mean, I don't know why it wouldn't be, as long as you're not contacting the offensive line. So.
What was your scouting report on the Seahawks special teams?
They're good. They're a physical group. Their coordinator, I played with Larry Izzo in New England whenever I was a young player. Learned a lot from him. He's a good coach, and his teams reflect his play style as a player. He was a super instinctive, physical football player, and his team has kind of taken on his style of play.
If Pierre is playing a lot or even running back 1B, can he still be the kick return?
We're looking at some other players there, but he's an option for sure still. Yep.
The state of the return game, it seems that every week it's been changing the personnel.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've had some injuries. We've lost some guys to bigger roles offensively, obviously with Jerome. So as the roster changes, we have to adapt, and I think our players have handled it pretty well.
Dustin said that he's always felt that he could consistently hit those 50-yard field goals. He just maybe didn't get the opportunities early in a season with different teams. For you guys, what made you confident early on to let him go for those longer ones?
I mean, we've seen it in practice. We've seen him have the accuracy, the timing, the accuracy, the elevation, everything's been good in practice, and he's done a good job of, like I said, you take it from the practice field to the game. Rarely do you see, a play not work in practice work in a game. So you need to be able to do it in practice and then take it to the game on Sunday. So our guys in all of our units have done that in a pretty good way.
Season, when you talked about how much you hate penalties, what's your running total right now in penalties, and are you pleased with it?
We probably have more penalties than it feels, or than it, because we haven't done it. We haven't done a bad job as far as, poor decision making, like that result in penalties, like blocking a guy in the back or something like that. We've had a couple, like, not to say dumb, but we've had a couple like dumb penalties. Like we had a delay game at the end of I think it was the San Fran game maybe, that it didn't hurt us there. Like last week, Tony jumped off sides, which we actually turned into the league, and it was illegal. The snapper takes his hand off the ball and pops his head up. So Tony jumps off sides on a punt return. It's like 4th and 17. So we've had a couple of those, penalties, but I think we're playing pretty clean overall. And I'm actually happy with how we've done as far as the penalties go, and not like making fouls. Of how many we've had, I don't know. Honestly, because how I see it is like, are we really hurting? Are we hurting the team by making a bad decision and blocking in the back? That's going to give us a poor drive start. We haven't really had that, so you haven't really seen those at the end of a play. It's really been like almost like pre-snap to a degree.
Sean wants to know, do you feel on special teams that you guys have to, really step it up even more so and create great field position and returns and make those kicks and do everything?
I would never really say that. I feel like every week we're talking about controlling field position, regardless of who the quarterback is. We always want to give our offense the best drive start possible, our defense the best drive start possible to succeed. So, everyone's got to do their job. Our job is to do as best we can to give the offense the best field position.
Remember when P.J. Walker came to Indianapolis, and were you surprised that?
Yeah, he was my scout team kick returner.
And are you surprised at
Philip,
what's
right?
going on here?
Yeah,
Philip then.
I didn't know he was PJ until a few years later. I used to call him Phil.
So are you surprised that what he's doing in the ends of games?
I'll say this, and there's guys on our team that have said this as well, like Phil, PJ, Phil. I still call him Phil. He's like, you're the only one that calls me Phil. I'm like, well, I don't know you as PJ. Like, you don't call me, not Bubba. But no, I mean, I think the kid's he's just got that gamer in him. I think he does. He's an instinctive football player. He makes plays with his feet. He's got a strong arm, and obviously, he's done a good since he left us in Indy back in whatever that was. I think 19 was his last year there. I mean, he's done pretty well. So I was when I found out we were gonna get him here, I was excited to have him.
With Dustin, I know he talked about too that he feels like since he got here, it's been kind of like this collaborative process almost, especially in practices and you guys asking him what he feels like he needs to work on and that part of it, I guess, how much is that a part of your coaching style? How have you developed that and that collaborative process?
I think that, for me, I always want to try to make the specialists as comfortable as possible, to a degree. I would like them to do what they want to do, and I'm going to be there to supervise and obviously give my input and feedback, but I want him to, if he doesn't want to hit a lot of balls and it's going to be better for him in the long run, that's what I want.
One more question about those penalties. Every special teams coach tries to tell their players, don't hold, don't block in the back. But yours seem to be more successful, so why is that?
I hit our guys on it every week, every Friday. I mean, I'm hitting them on it nonstop. I show things from throughout the league, poor decision making, understanding the roles, how the officials are calling the game. So I feel like our guys have a good awareness and understanding of how the officials are calling the game and what not to do. And then just making good decisions. Back to the Phil Walker. So I showed a clip of him from Indy as a kick returner a couple weeks ago in my Friday meeting as well.
Is Miles the only guy on the team that could do what he did? Or do you have other guys that could do the standstill, jump over everybody?
I don't know. I'm not sure, but
Like you didn't tryouts or anything?
we didn't have any tryouts. I knew that we had a good guy to do it. But yeah, well, we're always going to have, an idea of someone's skill set and who can potentially do one of those things. So most coaches will do that, but everything I do I feel like is game plan specific to the opponent. I'm going to try to put my guys in the best spot, the best matchup to match up against the guy. I don't want to put a guy in a spot where I'm asking him to do something that he can't do or that he can't win in a matchup.
Which Friday meeting that was that you showed that clip with Walker?
Which Friday meeting it was?
Which Friday was?
Yeah, I think it was actually a Saturday meeting. I started on a Saturday, maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Yeah.
Seattle's not a place that the Browns typically, play at regularly, but what makes it a challenging place? What are you expecting in terms of conditions, in terms of for especially for a guy like Dustin?
So I played in San Fran for 2 years. We played there a number of times, including the loudest game I've ever played in the NFC, played or coached in the NFC Championship in 2013. To me, it's the loudest stadium in the league. It's hard to play there. The crowd is definitely an impact, and we have definitely prepared and we are preparing our players to handle the noise, both on offense, defense, and in the kicking game. It's a fun place to play. It's a fun place to coach. Great environment. So our guys should not be surprised when we get there and understand how loud it's going to be. Like, it's going to be loud. So we're trying to do our best to prepare them for that.
Well, the clip of Phil, was that to make fun, or was there something special about it?
It was. He was literally my scout team kick returner for most of the season. So I was just making a joke that he was starting in the game. It might have been the first game he ended up coming in, and yeah.
He was a returner.
He was good. He was good. Like, guys were shocked that he was actually the kick returner. And then I told him that I showed it, and he laughed, obviously. So.
Well, another question about Seattle. Jason Myers has been one of the more consistent kickers for them for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm not asking you to give away state secrets here, but when you evaluate when a unit like, for example, their field goal unit is as efficient as they are, where do your eyes go first? Are you looking at something on the line? Are you looking at the snap? How do you evaluate when something goes so well like that?
Yeah, you look at everything. I mean, with the field goal operation, it starts with the snap, the hold, and the kick. You're looking at the protection. He's definitely been an effective kicker. He does a good job. He gets good elevation on his kicks. He's got good timing and tempo to the ball. Larry's done a good job with him out there, and he's definitely been a weapon for them. And the punter's a dude too now. Michael Dixon, he's a real deal.
Did you know that's the only time the Colts have lost with the roof open, the window closed?
Is that right?
Yeah.
I told you guys it was going to be open though. And it was it was not warm. It was not on our sideline. It was not warm. Over in the sun, it was a little bit. Thanks. Yeah.
like you really, more than anyone, understands, kind of what Deshaun is going through when it comes to the shoulder and people questioning whether or not he actually should be playing or not be playing. Can you talk about how, like, you really get it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough spot to be in. I mean, like I said last week, he's a thrower, and when you can't throw at 100%, then it's tough to go out and play. It's not by lack of want. I can tell that. I know he's frustrated. I know he's trying to do everything he can to get back on the field with his teammates, and he showed that last week. He came out and fought through, got back, had some practice time late in the week, and tried to be out there on Sunday. Yeah, I know he's frustrated. It's just part of the deal. I mean, when he's healthy, he'll be back, and we just can't wait to get him healthy.
He said he thought he was ready, and then he realized he was not ready. What did you guys think? Did you think he was ready and realize he wasn't ready?
We were hoping. You see the practice on Friday. It was better than Thursday. 2 more days of rest. Maybe it'll be, feel a lot better on Sunday. And then, he took the hit, and the hit was really for us. It was like, all right, let's put PJ in there, and let him heal up a little more. He didn't look like himself early. He had a throw there that was probably a little short than he usually would throw. So those were some of the things that went into that decision. But hats off. He tried to get back. He did everything he could to be out there. And then the hit happened, and we just held him after that.
How are you guys going to gauge this? Because he's going to get hit again.
Sure,
he's
he
back
will.
out there.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, how do you know?
Every hit could be a big hit. You don't know what's going to happen. It just so happened to aggravate the shoulder again. So, again, I think when he feels like he can throw it 100%, the hits will just be what they are at that point. But
I don't think he's going to be 100% this year.
yeah, I mean that's part of it, But what's that percentage that gets him back out on the field where he feels like he can compete? That's the thing we're looking for, and that's where he's trying to get to. I've been in that situation. I had an AC third degree in a preseason game in Denver. I sat out most of the year, and I ended up starting 3 games at the end of that year, and I was not 100%. It's not a comfortable feeling as a thrower to go out there and have to throw a 25-yard comeback, and that you don't quite have that arm strength at that time to get it there. So I can definitely say I've sat in his shoes, and it's not a comfortable feeling. Again, when he's healthy, I can't wait to get him back out on the field.
Did you know on that, even the first pass too wasn't very good, but did you know on just Julian Blackman's interception that he just did not have the velocity?
That's what it looked like. He was trying to juice it out there, and it fell a little bit short. So that's when, kind of, I don't know if he's quite ready to be out there. And we want to give him every opportunity to. He's our leader, but it just didn't happen on Sunday. So, get him back in there, get him healthy, get him in the rehab, do his rehab process and go through that. And again, can't wait to get a healthy Deshaun back out on the field.
Deshaun said he wanted to go back out in the game. How hard did he fight to get back out there?
Deshaun's a great, teammate, great person. He respects, obviously, the coach's opinion, I think, and Kev, talked to him, and I think, I think at that point he actually had an idea how he felt and probably felt like that was the best decision for the team at that time. But, again, he tried everything he could to get out there last week and got there, and then, just didn't pan out.
Knowing that PJ's starting this week for you guys, how helpful is that in this process of practice this week, and again, just gaining his comfortability with this offense?
It's huge. He took the reps last Wednesday, and then really split them up on Thursday and didn't take them on Friday. So having a full week of practice will only help. Now this will be his third time going in, third week of preparation where he's getting first team reps. Yesterday's practice was really sharp. I was really impressed with him. And the offenses in general, how we performed yesterday. So that's an indication. We just keep getting better each week, each practice. Just keep trending upward.
Alex, they did pick up Frank Clark, and I'm sure you're prepared for that. But
sure.
Besides that, they have 11 different guys who have had sacks. So they come from everywhere, obviously.
Right.
Is that a challenge mostly on the line to identify where it's coming from, or the quarterback?
It falls on everybody, really. The receivers not so much, but the protection backs, the tight ends when they protect, the quarterback. They have good scheme. They have a very active front. There's a lot of movement. Their pressure packages are good. So, we have to be on top of our game. That's one thing we talked about. Playing out there is not easy. So letting these guys especially the guys that have not been out there, give them kind of an idea of what's coming until you actually hear that and the noise and you can't hear a thing in the huddle. We really got to focus on our preparation. So when we go there, it's not really thinking about the play, it's reacting and understanding, hey, I only heard one word, but I have to put it all together. So just trying to get those guys ready to go out and operate on the road.
Alex, those first 3 quarters, actually both games, PJ looked a little shaky, but then 2 game-winning drives. What is it about him in clutch that makes him good?
Yeah, it's not perfect, and we know that. We don't expect it all to be perfect, but you know, he's a gamer. He really does step up in the big times of the game. Really, 2 big throws in that 2-minute drive last week. He had a big throw in the week before. You know, so we're getting it done. I'd like to be cleaner earlier, but you know, when it comes down to it, I'm really proud of this offense. I think it was a 12-play drive at the end, you know, 4th and 1. Just the resiliency and the toughness and the never die attitude of this team in general. But really proud of that offensive group and PJ.
Deshaun obviously went through his normal pregame routine and everything. After the pregame was over, did you guys feel like you saw what you wanted to see out of him during that?
Felt like it was good enough to give him a chance to go out there and start. Yeah.
PJ, Alex, is your number 1 focus with him limiting or cutting back on those turnover-worthy plays?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You just keep talking about making great decisions. You know, if we can go into Seattle and not give them the ball at all on our side of the ball, it gives us a chance. So just just talking about how important it is, making great decisions. The interception that he had in this game, you know, it was just a throw that just leaked too far back inside. It was a compliment of a couple of things on the other side, but that was a chance there, you know, that just, it wasn't a decision. The decision was correct to throw it. It was just where the ball ended up landing on that long interception. But, you know, he understands that. He's played a lot in this league. He's played games. He's now won 2 for us. So, you know, he knows what to do. We just got to, you know, we need to go out and play that perfect, clean game where we have a nice, clean slate at the end of the day.
Alex, I want to ask you about the rushing attack. Obviously, the first couple weeks with Nick healthy, there were some big numbers, but that room's obviously gotten a little bit thinner, and yet still effective, efficient, right now number 2 in the AFC rushing the ball. What do you generally attribute your rushing success as a team to right now?
It's a team, you know, team stat for all of us. That's the receivers on the perimeter. That's everybody up front. That's the runners. You know, we've always ran the ball well here. I think Coach Callahan, you know, has great scheme, great technique in his teaching. Where it's definitely a strength of ours. And, you know, and then the guys that step in, Kareem really ran hard. The last 2 games, I was really proud of the way he's running the ball. And then Pierre comes in, and he hits a couple big ones in that 2-minute drive. You know, Jerome, the same thing there. So, you know, it's a little bit by committee right now, but that's fine. We've got 3 backs right now. We'll get Jerome back. We'll have some guys up, you know, this week. But I think it's a little bit of everything. We run the ball well. You know, I think it's well coached here through scheme and technique, you know, and our guys buy in.
Are there many guys you'd rather give the ball to on 4th and 1 than Kareem Hunt?
Not in that situation, absolutely not. You know, that was a kind of situation where we knew that was going to be a call on the 4th down. We were trying to score before that, but we knew if, you know, all else failed, we were going to run one of our signature plays.
Is it tough sitting there, just kind of like, you know, you can get it in if you run the ball, but kind of waiting and holding on to that?
Yeah, you know, I thought Kev did a great job. They got the ball back with 15 seconds. You know, if we just scored on 1st down on a pass play, or, you know, something would have happened there, we'd give them more time. So we felt good about how we ended that drive with as less amount of time on the clock as we could.
Where are you when Amari Cooper doesn't get a target for, I don't know if it was a whole half, but it was a lot of that first half at least. And then at halftime you say, okay, let's make sure we try to get him the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. Not something, I think Kev does a great job of that during the course of the game. Who's touched the ball? Who do we need to get touches to? Who do we need to get going? Sometimes Dave will be a guy who will say, hey, let's see if we can get Dave going. Let's see if we can get Amari a ball. Those are our leaders. So when those guys touch the ball, good things generally happen. But it's definitely something that's on the back of coach's mind.
When you look at this,
Couple more.
what challenges does Bobby Wagner present to you?
Yeah, man. Guy's been around forever, just torturing me for years now. Played a lot of in Seattle. Really instinctive, really smart linebacker. Just understands exactly the fits and the blocking schemes. And he's slippery inside the box. He plays, you know, that Mike linebacker spot. He's uncanny. He knows what runs are coming. And he's a good guy in the pressure game as well. They like to bring him a lot on pressure. So just a solid veteran. That's tough to. He's seen a lot of football in his day, and it seems like the game slows down for him.
Beyond Wagner, I mean, 3 straight weeks, opponents have not had 250 yards of offense against them. You know, they seem to be playing well cohesively. What's unique about the way they defend that is challenging?
you know, it's sort of that Seattle scheme a little bit, much like last week, you know, with Gus Bradley in Indianapolis, a lot of 3-deep zone, kind of a lot of vision defense, do a great job of keeping all eyes on the quarterback, and they squeeze and funnel everything from outside in. I think getting Adams back helps him, gives him a big presence down in the box. You know, he's a physical player. But you know, that the defense is playing at a high level and has been for the last 3 weeks. Big challenge for us to go out on the road and face these guys. Alrighty, thanks guys.
All right, did I misremember this late October weather? I don't think we might have had some frost on the. Yeah, yeah. Well, love it. All right, guys.
What do you see out of Geno Smith?
I see a veteran player that's sort of survived some of the bumps of some early setbacks. I think he's an inspiration to a lot of players that don't have immediate success. But his stick-to-itiveness, his ability to keep working, persevere, and obviously improve have shown these last couple years. I remember having a conversation with him after a game he was playing with the Jets, and he was a backup and hadn't played. And, I told him, I said, look, eventually you're going to get another chance, make sure you're ready for it. And because I had played him a couple times early in his career, and he certainly has. We're going to have our work cut out for him. He's throwing the ball very well. He's really efficient, very accurate with his passes, high completion percentage. And, I think that he's really, a good role model, a good inspiration for a lot of players that may have struggled early in their career. And if they stay on track and keep improving, that they can eventually have success.
I think you didn't do as well against the Colts as you guys have done well the first whatever.
Yeah, well, pretty much everything. We didn't stop the run very well. We couldn't control the first and second down sticks, and mainly it was because of run. We weren't as firm as we need to be on the inside. Missed some tackles, gave up some big plays. We were poor in the red zone, which continues really to be a thing. I'm really disappointed in our red zone. I thought we'd be further along in our package, and I know it's new, and we didn't get a lot of time on task early in the season. But, we need to have urgency to be better in the red zone. That game's a lot different if we can hold some field goals right there. But, we're a good third down team too, but in that game we weren't. About the only thing that we were good in was what we had sort of struggled the first part of the season, which was getting turnovers, and that was really the difference in the game. I was also proud of the players, it seemed like every time we put a fire out, a new one sort of popped up, and sometimes you don't have your fastball and you got to scrap and grind, and that was a grind for the guys. But they kept their head in the game. They kept playing, and as much as anything, we were able to come up with a 4-minute stop at the end of the game, which put our offense in a position to go win it, and then we were able to seal the game with the sack forced fumble. So a lot of stuff that certainly wasn't up to character for us, and stuff that we need to do better and improve. But we did make plays in the game, and that sort of, I don't want to say counted it, because you want to play good football, but it made up for the fact that we didn't have our fastball and we weren't playing good. It's sort of, baseball. I know World Series is coming up, but you got a hitter that strikes out 3 times in a row and then hits a home run in the bottom of the 8th. It's a 3-run homer. That was sort of the way we played football. We want to have a little more contact than that. We want to put the ball in play.
Who's RPOs surprised at all?
Oh, no. They stayed pretty much like the RPO game, the actual throws on the RPOs was really only one, and we just need a bigger contact on that one. But the scramble, if that's what you're talking about, his more keeping the ball. Yeah, no, he had done it in all their games, and Richardson had done it. I think there were some of those games when he came in after Richardson was hurt that they were shying away or not doing those things. But certainly we were prepared for it. We just didn't execute very well. We missed a lot of tackles on the quarterback and weren't in really good position. So I think that was probably the biggest thing.
Able to rank Miles's first half in terms of other amazing performances that you've seen over the years? Can you kind of put it in some kind of context?
Well, I have to stay in character there. 4-2. Right? If we're gonna say 3-2 when it comes to somebody's performance, but yeah, let's be for real. That was a performance for the ages. The 2 sacks, the 2 strips, both of them. One we scored on defense, the other one the offense scored off of. Blocked kick, an amazing blocked kick. you know, about 8 tackles. I mean, 8 tackles is hard for a defensive end to make. And, you know, maybe one other thing that sort of flies a little bit below the radar, we lost Alex early in that game, and Obo was struggling with his ribs. And, you know, sort of hats off to Obo, because he was playing on half a body, but he was, you know, he was trying to keep going out there and tough it out for us. But Miles played just about every play in the second half and was still able to come up with plays like that. And that's just another tribute to him as a player. I mean, it's not ideal. We don't really, you know, want to go there with playing every single snap. You know, I think that, you know, over the course of the season, over the course of games, that's not a great strategy. But when you need to, he certainly proved that he could. And, yeah, that was a great individual performance. We had some others. You know, I thought Jordan Elliott might have played his best game that we've seen him play. He's really, really improved for us. He's starting to master the technique of attack. He's a big man. Saw him get a sack, but, you know, not just a sack, but his presence in the inside run game has really, really improved. So, you know, yeah, 4-2.
When you look at it, Ken Walker, what makes him, is he similar to any of the other backs you faced, or what makes him successful?
Yeah, you know, you just put the tape on, and it's impressive. You know, and his numbers, you know, like if you just judge him on his stats, you know, 4.1 yards a carry. I don't know where that ranks in the league, but it's probably not like, you know, top 10. But you put his film on, and it gets your attention right away. The broken tackles. He's really hard to bring down. He's got quickness, and he has power, and he can threaten all the edges of your defense. You know, just because you have him hemmed up doesn't mean he's, you know, that you got him completely bottled in. He can go all the way out the back door. He's really good at setting his blocks up. He's really an outstanding young player. And, you know, some of our things that we struggled with against the Colts, particularly the inside run game and allowing them to control the game with the run. And when we played well on defense, particularly Titans and 49ers, after that first drive against the 49ers, we were able to control the second down game. So we're going to have our work cut out for him, or work cut out for us. But yeah, he's an exciting young player. I didn't really know him a ton from last year because, you know, I hadn't seen him and didn't really cross over very much with those guys. But he gets your attention really quick, and you know, he's a good young player.
The RPOs are relatively new to the NFL, 10 years, whatever. And with your defensive style, just attacking going forward, it would seem to be the play to run at your defense. Do you find it frustrating to defend that in your system?
No, I mean, it's just life in the NFL now. It spreads you thinner with gaps because you have to account for an extra gap with the quarterback. You know, so I don't think it's anything that's, you know, necessarily frustrating or anything else. I mean, it's something that's fairly common. It used to be you didn't see it very often, but now you see it more. And it's not just like, Tony, when we talk about RPO, that's the run pass option, and a lot of RPO is they have a run called and they're throwing the ball off of it. They're reading a particular player and they're ripping the ball in and getting the ball out quick. You know, think Eagles in the Super Bowl run with Nick Foles. But you add the extra layer of quarterback run. You know, that's probably, I'd say, the run option, not the run pass option, but the run option creates an extra gap. And, you know, we have ways to handle their scheme. We haven't executed them very well so far this year, and it's certainly something we need to improve on.
Play something that you have to worry about going forward?
100%. And, you know, we've talked about it in the past, and, you know, we've had a couple plays this year early in the game against San Fran, and these two plays where, you know, we jump off sides and then we don't finish the play, whether it's in the back end or up front. And, you know, like our message is like we don't necessarily need to try to get back, you know, like just go shut the play down, you know, just keep on going and shut the play down, so that we don't we don't put our corners in that position to have to go play those balls where the offense has license. So, we're a get-off team. We're an attack team. There's a bit of cost to doing business with that, with offside. We don't want to be offsides in critical situations like backed up or third down and short or 2-minute and things like that. But there's going to be some times where we're going to be offsides, but we can't allow them to turn. They need to be 5-yard plays, not, 55 or 80-yard plays or, whatever we've given up. But that's definitely something that's on our radar and something that we need to address and improve. We already have addressed it, but we need to do it on the field. The first step is don't be offside. The second step is either shut the play down or do a better job of finishing the play. And, a lot of times you're dealing against human nature, like just a natural reaction. Your natural reaction is to try to get back or to sort of, but we need to do that better.
Miles said that he thought maybe the center was doing something with the ball that made him jump. Did you notice anything? Were they doing anything different?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's going to try to do stuff like that. They're going to try to do whatever they can to gain an advantage. They know we're a good pass rush team. They know they have players like Miles out there, and they're going to try to negate that. And whether it's hard cadence, whether it's a little bit of movement or, stuff like that. Sometimes I think offenses can put themselves in a little trouble, but we put it on tape. So we're going to have to deal with it. And, if people think they can gain an advantage, then, they're going to keep on trying. If we go a good stretch without it affecting us, I think we'll see offenses do it a little bit less.
You've got an interesting roster makeup in Seattle. They've got some really veteran guys like Gino and Bobby Wagner who played a ton of football. They also have more rookies on their 53 than anybody else in the league. From a game planning perspective, do you approach things differently when you're playing against a team that hasn't seen everything because there's a little less experience there? Does that factor in for you at all?
Sometimes when it's a quarterback, sometimes when it's an offensive line, I think that does come into the equation. When it's skilled players, when it's tight ends or wide receivers, I don't know that it comes up quite as much. But they also have, even though they have a lot of rookies out there, they've third year in this offensive coordinator. Yeah, third year in Shane's offense. So they have a lot of time on task with their other players, and even though they have a lot of young players, they can get those guys. So, I think that if those players were concentrated in a certain position, maybe there'd be something there. We just need to worry about ourselves. We need to execute ourselves. We need to execute. We need to execute well ourselves. I don't know, some of you English majors got to clean that up for me. I don't know, but we have to do a better job of executing and worry about ourselves. There you go.